What's good, YouTube? It's your main man, AB the Hero, back again with another video. And in today's video, I want to answer this question for you. When should you start building your brand in today's NIL, name, image, and likeness era? On this channel, we have followed the Big Baller brand, other athletes who have been able to build personal brands and have those brands amplify their earning potential when coupled with some of the success that they've been able to have on the field of play. And so as this new name, image, and likeness opportunity begins to trickle down to student athletes, I want to give you some answers and some tools and tips to take advantage of that. The number one thing that I would suggest to you is being able to build a brand. You can be a successful player. We've seen countless times guys who are or athletes who are very talented on the court, but the ones who we end up growing to know, love, and spend our money with are the ones who have some sort of brand. So I want to get into that today with you all. Let's go.
Triple B's! AB the Hero. Back at it, baby.
All right, so in today's video, I want to start with this clip or this soundbite from my man, Coach Prime. Now, you know Coach Prime. I know Coach Prime. He was one of the most famous players in the NFL, especially when I was growing up, and is now the coach of the Colorado Buffaloes football team. And so in this clip here on when he was on Club Shay, he talks about when he's decided to establish the Coach Prime identity, or the Deion Primetime Sanders identity. And I think it's important to get our conversation started. Let's listen up.
It seems to me everybody is trying to build a brand, but you built the brand 30 years ago before they told you how to build a brand.
True.
How? How do you come up with the name Primetime? You come out there with the jury. You come out there with the gold. You come out there being outspoken.
But it was a purpose, though, Shay.
I know.
I'm going to tell you the purpose.
Okay.
First and foremost, these guys trying to build a brand, first of all, you need to build your game. I had game that was impeccable. I had a work ethic that was desirable. I had
The
that.
brand can't be better than your game, huh?
Come on. I'm knowing some of these cats' brand. I don't even know your game. Who are you? What you doing on the commercial? I ain't never seen you before. Like, so I remember this agent was trying to secure me at the end of my sophomore year. And he gave me this pamphlet of how much everybody made in the NFL. I didn't know what that kind of stuff was disclosed.
Right.
So at that time, I went down to DB's, and there was no one making $1 million. I was like, good Lord. And I'm going to the other position. DB's was one of the worst paid positions next to, I believe, the offensive lineman at that time. And it blew my mind. I remember dropping that list and sat down and I said, oh no. Right then I said, Primetime. Now I came there in '85 with a Thunderbird with license plate that said Primetime, '85 Thunderbird, and my mama worked her butt off to afford the payments. And it was already prime from playing basketball in high school. So I took that name and just started building a brand. Like, you could hate me all you want, but you want to see me play. So I had a black book. Most people had girls' numbers in their black book. I had quotes in mine. I'm the best thing since peanut butter and jelly. You punt the ball to me, you might as well get ready to hit a band. Throw the ball to me and at me and get ready to make the tackle. It was all these different quotes that I knew they were gonna come, and I just had to effectually put the quote in the right place. So I built that thing, and I be darned, I run a punt back. What did you see on that punt? I just tell my punt return team, when I get it, just drop down to the ground so I can see. It was stuff. It was just stuff like that. You know, it was just stuff like that. Oh, just block 4. I got 7. It was stuff like that.
Right.
And slowly we started building that thing, man. And it worked.
Your famous quote: if you look good, you feel good. If you feel good, you play good. If you play good, they pay good.
That was dead serious. That's way back in college.
All right, so check this out. This is interesting to me because I think you hear a few different things, right? For him, building this brand was out of necessity, right? He looked at the salaries of the people who played his position and felt like that wasn't enough, was not desirable for him. So he said, you know what? Let me build this brand. And this is what I was saying earlier. Your brand and your personal brand is only going to amplify the things that you do on the court or on your field of play. So if you have a strong brand with you and you are ultimately talented, you have great opportunity to strike things up, right? And so, very wise words from Coach Prime here. I want to point out some things because I don't want folks to get discouraged. In this quote, he says, some of y'all worried about the brand and y'all, we don't even know your game. When we get to this question, the original question that we asked of when you should start building your brand, I would suggest to you that your initial brand that you're building should be centered around the work, right? Your brand should be centered around the work and the things that you are accomplishing, especially if we talk about at a younger age. And then once you start to hit your high notes and your crescendos, you can start to build a more tailored brand that fits personality. So, like Coach Prime said here, the prime time was already there. That came from high school accomplishments. And you heard him say he was very intentional about writing down these different quotes. And as he unlocked these certain achievements, he started to drop a little sauce here and there. But it was all preparation. All of these things were intentionally laced throughout. It wasn't something that he came up with on the spot. He didn't rely on, he obviously had charisma, but it wasn't simply relying on that. It was trying to merge the quote with the right opportunity to say said quote. And that is how he built the brand over time. So when we talk about when, remember that even Coach Prime, Deion Sanders Prime Time, said that it took him some time to build said brand. Here's something that I want to show y'all that I think is ultimately important to this conversation. Right now, when we look at the college football landscape or the landscape of these NIL deals, what we're seeing a lot of times now is these collectives, right? And so what you see is these organizations who are tied in with a program, and what they do is all of the guys on said team, potentially they're looking to recruit all of the dudes who, like, we look at this first one here, it says Crimson Tide, primary focus on football, some basketball. So you have this collective of boosters, business owners in the area. They put money together and then they provide that as an income stream or NIL deal to players on those different teams. And this is cool. And I think that this will be one of the things that attracts a lot of young prospects in the short term, because a school like Alabama can tell you, yo, not only do we have one collective, we've got two here. You see Tuscaloosa NIL Club, High Tide Traditions, two different NIL clubs with primary focuses on football players. So even if you don't have a brand, there's opportunity for you, right? But what I'm saying to you is, and why it's so important for you to build your brand, is for you to be able to also operate outside of these organizations. Because one of the things that I imagine is going to happen sooner or later, as you see these coaches this try to figure out ways to get you focused back on playing the ball. Don't be worried about the bag and building your brand. And you got a team and you doing all of this. And AB the Hero said, nah. Here's what we're going to do. We're going to put this collective in place. You're going to come here. We're going to get you a bag. It's going to be significant and you don't have to focus on all of that stuff, right? This is similar, but not the same as before when you had compliance officers. And with a lot of these NIL deals, these schools can check off and say that's okay and that's not okay. So you'll see them start controlling these things a little bit more. So having your own brand gives you a little bit of flexibility, because you won't have to simply rely on some of these collectives and these different groups here to secure you the bag. You can come in with some bargaining power, because if you go and you look at a lot of the top recruits, the ones who are active on social media have amassed some bit of a following, but majority of players who get into college, they start to get a little bit more notoriety and start building a fan base once they touch campus. Now, that does not necessarily mean that they have a brand, but it definitely does mean they have a fan base. So I think this is important to be aware of, that these collectives are options here. But if you have your own brand, you can have some success outside of this, and even your negotiations can change when you start to leverage that brand with these collectives as well. Now, what I want to go and I want to point out to you here is a couple examples of some folks who I've been following who I think are utilizing they're building their personal brands or building the brand, because obviously these accounts that I'm going to show you are not ran by the athletes per se at a young age, but ran by their parents. And as those athletes begin to grow, they can take over the account if they want, but as they begin to grow in notoriety, then you are already building infrastructure and a team around them. So when the question is, when should you start building your brand? My answer to you is, it's never too early. Let me show you this here. We come over here and we can look at here's one of my one of the guys who follows and subscribed to this channel. This is his son right here, Quintez Volts. And if you've been around for a minute, I probably pulled up some clips from him before. Got his own YouTube channel. Official Quintez Volts has his own Instagram account with 3,256 followers. All right. At this point, that's not an astronomical number. However, when you really look at the ideal of, as you're building your brand over time, you're not necessarily trying to encapsulate the entire world at the beginning. You're just trying to get the local schools to know who you are, the local schools to recognize your grind or your growth. So when you have an account with 3,256 followers in it, and you think about how many students are at the local middle schools / high schools, you realize that you're ahead of the game at this point. You haven't even stepped to that national level yet. Now, this is I wanted to pull this up because if you go back here, this account has been running for a minute here now. They have archived some of the posts down to 37, but they've been running this since he was much younger. And so one of the things that you start to see once you go through here and you start checking some of this out is you see him show up to the game here. Let me try that. I might have to mute this for the music. You know what I'm saying? Prime time, got the glasses on.
They thought we forgot.
But then you see other kids in the neighborhood. What's up, man? They taking pictures, high-fiving and all of that stuff. And that's the result of building your brand. Now, as Dion said, you need to have a game with it. So my man here dropping 33 points, 6 steals, 3 assists. Shows you that the game is there to back that up as a 7th grader. Blogs, doing it on both ends, defensive, all of that stuff. So if you can, go over here, check out your man Quintez Volts and Indie Sports Films as well. I'll link to this account here in the description. But this is a good start to me, because you're slowly building your core audience, your fan base, and the brand of this young man. Now, you got to make sure the ego does not grow as it become problematic. But like I said, you do that by having your brand start off as being somebody who's willing to put in the work. And if you watch my man's game here, you can tell that they put in a ton of work. And that's what I wanted to show you. You can scroll down here, and some of their older posts, they've been running this account for years, and you see a much more workout videos than you did game videos for a long time. And then now the transition is happening to show you some of the things that he's doing on court. One of the things that I also want to show you is this account here, Lucy McDowell 2015, much younger than Quintez Volts. But you go through here and you start to see this. Work, 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 work. You go here, work, 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 teaching never stops. And so you start to see this brand is not only is this young lady talented out here, you catch her on the pitch, going to work. It's not even just about that. That's easy buckets. It's not just about what it looks like in the game. Nutmeg. Scoot back around. You get to see the work being put in here, right? And so that's how you want to build that brand. That's how you help in the short term control some of that ego that comes with branding and marketing some of these young athletes. But what you want to do is give them an opportunity to start growing that core fan base, because once you then have products to sell on the other end, you can start to leverage that. So here is 2 accounts. If you want to, man, go ahead. I know these people personally, so you go ahead and follow these journeys here and see how these athletes do it. Because if you go through here and you see how they use social media to build their brand, build awareness, and build branding, it's impeccable. So go ahead and check these out. I'll link to both of these in the description. But that's my ultimate take on this. The answer to this question, when should you start building your brand, is start yesterday, right? Don't be caught up so much in the accolades and the accomplishments right away, right? Obviously, at the beginning of this thing, and once you start to try to merchandise and then turn a profit from it, you need to then have some accolades or something to go with it, or you just need an impeccable story. I always use these folks as a great example of this. When you look at the Newman family, all right, the Newmans. Let me see. I think I got a picture of him. Pull up. You got the Newman family, who has been on the scene for a long time, right? And Julian Newman is what, 5'6", 5'7", not a physical specimen, not overly athletic. But what you got from him is somebody who is notable, somebody who has built a brand. Their family has done that, and they've accomplished a lot off of that, changed some of their trajectory. And you got a cat who probably size-wise, just off of sheer like size of an athlete, didn't ever have an opportunity to make that jump to the highest league, the NBA. However, was able to make a lifestyle and a living off of playing the game of basketball, and people still tap in to watch him to this day. You got a video here 2 months ago, 905,000 views on it. Another one 2 months ago with 739,000 views on it. I just saw one from 6 months ago with 1.3 million. So I say all that to say, start building the brand. On this channel, we'll kind of dive back into this topic more and more and provide with tips and tricks and some insights and just some thought process as you're trying to do this. So get started now. Start securing the social domains. Start posting some things at practice. Start posting some little maybe in-game highlights. But start trying to cultivate your story now, and then over time you'll be able to find that personality. You'll be able to find those quips and those intentional moments that Dion spoke about that will take your brand over the top and help you not go down the road of an outrageous ego, but will help you earn great opportunities. You know what I'm saying? That's the type of ego that we want, earning great opportunities. It's your main man, AB the Hero. We finna get up out of here. Appreciate y'all for tapping in. We out. Peace.
Be the hero. No, not peace. +1, triple B's. We out.